Richard Crouse.
And the film was shot in New Delhi.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the challenges of shooting there. I mean, it is busy 24 hours a day, and that's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's a really intense place to be, let alone have to shoot on the streets. There's scenes in these markets that you're shooting in that, I mean, I'm assuming you didn't close down the market and stock it with extras. It must have been intense.
Yeah, those markets scenes are great because of course we did shoot in a real market. We got there early so we had to have positions, but people were going about their business, and you can't fake that. You can't fake that kind of energy, and it would be hard to do here. I mean, it's very, very busy, of course, but on the other hand, people aren't fazed by the busyness, and you can sort of jam your way into places that you wouldn't be able to do here. Someone would say, "Get out!" They just sort of rush by and continue by. It's amazing. I mean, they don't shoot a lot of movies in Delhi, but they're not. Movies aren't so exotic that they just stop and stare at the camera. Obviously, it's a very movie literate culture. I think that helps. Maybe I'm not sure why it was easy to do, but it was exciting to shoot in real locations like that. All the locations are real, and there's some scenes in Old Delhi, and and that contrasted with the strange suburban feel of the Canadian compound, which is also really real and even more surreal in the middle of Delhi, as you can imagine. It's this incredibly busy, chaotic city, and you've got this strange. It looks like from Etobicoke or something. It does,
sort of oasis. But was that wasn't the real Canadian?
That was the real. Oh yeah, that's a real Canadian compound, which is I think the biggest Canadian consulate in the world. It's like a army barracks, but it looks like York University, as I say.
With the Quebec posters everywhere.
It looks so Canadian that you would almost think you were shooting here, right? Yeah, but no, it's real.
Had you been to India before?
No, so it was really exciting. That was part of the draw, certainly. And I had very short prep time, so it was. But I could justify it because like my character, I was thrown in to this foreign environment and had to deal with it. And I had very similar feelings to my character too. So.
And you're working opposite Seema Biswas, and who is, we know her from Water and a couple of other films that she's made here, but she's a big star over there.
Well, yes, I knew her. That was another one of the draws. I knew her. I mean, you remember Bandit Queen a long time ago? That was the first time I saw her. She's amazing. She's mostly known for her dramatic parts. I had great respect for her. I thought she's an amazing actor. I wasn't sure about her comic ability. I don't think I'd ever really seen her do anything particularly funny, but she's amazingly good at that too. No, she was a joy. She's so responsive and so in the moment. It's very easy to act with her. And those cooking scenes, we're cooking. It's sort of amazing.
Yeah, did you actually eat any of the food that you made?
I don't know if I ate.
It doesn't really work.
Not quite that.
And you're working with Lisa Ray as well, who is a Canadian actress who's scheduling this or casting this. And I think she's really wonderful in the film. I think that she captures something that I think is kind of difficult to do on screen, which is to be sympathetic but somehow kind of completely a fish out of water, and I'm trying not to give anything away. She doesn't relate to the domestic staff as well as you do.
No.
But she still remains kind of sympathetic. I mean, because you know that she has an enormous job ahead of her that she's trying to get done, but she doesn't quite understand the culture.
Yeah, and the sort of joke is that she's of partial Indian origin. I mean, both as an actress and her character. But she's sort of less Indian than I am, and she's more, as you say, uncomfortable with the staff.
Well, she doesn't want to wear the sari. She doesn't like there's all that stuff.
Which I understand. I mean, I think that's another thing I thought the film was really good about. We over here in Canada, we understand that someone of Indian origin can be fully Canadian, and I've been in circumstances before where I remember this one time I was in Taiwan actually with Sandra Oh, and all these Koreans kept coming up to her and speaking to Korean, and she was getting very frustrated, saying, "I am from the Ottawa Valley. I don't know what you're saying," you know. But and I get that, you know. It's like she's doesn't think of herself as Korean. I mean, she obviously, you know, respects her Korean roots and things like that. But I think, especially in her job. The role Lisa's playing, she's a diplomat. She's obviously sort of a progressive diplomat. She wants to be seen as different from her traditional roots. You know, she doesn't want to be pigeonholed back in her as an Indian, which I think I really think it's really clever, actually. And I love the fact that I'm sort of the better mother, the better Indian, the better. It was a nice twist. Yeah.
And you're also working opposite here, Maury Chaykin.
Yeah,
in a couple of scenes, and I don't know. There's just something about seeing Maury on screen that makes me happy, even when he's playing kind of, you know, a dodgy kind of character like he does in this film.
It's funny that he did this so well. Yeah, he's so funny. I don't know what it is. He just did this so well. This part of. Yeah, it's hard even to describe why it's funny when you see him. He's so good at that sort of strangely, very believable, but sort of out of it.
Yeah. There's something like I imagine that his character, that he'd been there for a very long time. That he didn't really want to do anything except throw cocktail parties.
Exactly. And he's at home there in the cocktail parties, and he tries to respond, but he's pretty ineffectual. There's a type. I mean, there's a type when you travel to film festivals, and you've probably felt this too. You end up with Canadian diplomats often, or other people in the foreign service from other countries too. And there's some great ones, but there are great ones for sure. And I have good friends, but there's also some that are really sort of strange colonial hangovers that really, you know, should be getting out of there.
Maybe retiring and coming home.
I have a lot of respect for foreign services, but he brilliantly captures the sort of lame type.
Richard Crouse.